There's been so much drama in the Pokemon community over the last couple days. We're gonna break it all down and talk about a potential leak for DLC. Let's dive in. All right, first things first, if you did not know that this was Relor's face, then you've been living under a crustal, but Pokemon tweeted this after they did their 1000A Pokemon video the other day, and this is indeed what Relor looks like, and it's actually hilarious, kind of like a Muppet. I don't know, I don't really like this Pokemon, but I thought it'd be fun to show you guys that. Anyway, update on raid dens. Cerebi.net reporting on the fact that Drifblim and Miss Magius are coming to Scarlet and Violet respectively. This is running from the 20th to the 22nd. So if you want to get out on those raids, you can do that. Again, Miss Magius and Drifblim. And probably more excitingly, or more relevant to many of you, is that the next 7-star Tera raid has been announced, and it is going to be Poison Tera type Greninja, which is something that a lot of people had kind of speculated previously, just based on the fact that we've kind of seen some of these other starters like Charizard and Cinderace. Now we're gonna get Greninja. That's gonna run from the 27th of January until the 29th, and they're gonna run it back on February 10th and February 12th. So that's how you're gonna get your Greninja. And they did make some changes like Battlemon and things like that. And obviously Greninja running Poison can run Gunk Shot. It does get Toxic Spike. So some pretty cool stuff there with Tera Greninja. So keep an eye out for that. Another week or so until you can do that, 10 days or so, until you can dive into that. Pearl Enthusiast making this post about the Pokemon Home transfer only Pokemon. They made a nice little layout. Pre-evolutions are not here. So big shouts to Pearl Enthusiast, though this is kind of cool. You get Charizard, you get Tauros, you get the birds, the Galarian birds, Mewtwo, Mew, and then some Galarian forms, Muck, Dugtrio, Persian, Raichu, Slowbro, Slowking, Electrode, and Hisuian Arcanine. Gen 5 giving you basically the Legends Arceus Pokemon plus a few. The Genies, Meloetta, Lilligant, Braviary, Basculin. I'm excited about Samurott personally. The Hisuian Quillfish, Overquill, really cool. And then obviously the new Typhlosion. You've got the Weather Pokemon, Rayquaza, Groudon, Kyogre. Magearna, the new Decidueye form and the old Decidueye form. Greninja, Chestnut, Delphox, which we'll talk about later in this video. Sliggoo, or the new kind of Goodra, Hisuian Goodra, Avalugg, Volcanion. Obviously, very importantly, getting all the different attack, like Scald, Steam Eruption, things like that. Carbank and Deontay. Gen 4 representing Dialga, Palkia, and their kind of origin forms. You've got Giratina, Cresselia, Sneasel, and Sneasler. And then the Lake Trio, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. And then Generation 8 representing the starters, Cinderace, Inteleon, Rillaboom, the legendary Zacian, Zamazenta, Eternatus, Urshifu, Zarude, the Reggies, Regieleki and Regidrago. You've got Calyrex and the other horse, the horses, Spectrier and Glacier. Weirdeer, Cleaver, Ursaluna, which I think is going to be a really big threat. Basculegion, as I mentioned, Sneasler, Overquill, and Amorous. So just wanted to cover kind of those things right there. That's what's coming with Pokemon Home. We'll have to wait and see when that Pokemon Home transfer ability is actually like a thing. It's still not a thing, but soon, because next month is Pokemon Day, so I would think we're going to get some information, some pretty significant information pretty soon. Before I dive into the DLC stuff, I wanted to talk drama, because there's been a lot of drama in the Pokemon community over the last couple of days. I'm going to just peel back the curtain. It's going to be really wild stuff. If you didn't see the drama, I'm gonna get you guys all informed. Before I do that, I want to let you guys know that we did just drop a couple brand new shirts over at TeamShiny.com. So you got Roaring Moon and a handful of others. So make sure you guys go to TeamShiny.com and use code STELLAR to get 15% off your purchase if you pick up 3 shirts or more. So grab some sweet merch, deck out your closet. You're gonna look awesome. We've got a ton of awesome shiny designs. So check it out at TeamShiny.com, including our brand new ones. You don't want to miss this. This drop is fire. Don't miss out. So I don't know where this all started, but basically after the 1000A Pokemon reveal, some people, they've released the official artwork for a bunch of stuff, right? And the official artwork is like a 2D kind of flat image of these various Pokemon. And oftentimes the official artwork can actually bring a lot of character to the Pokemon, believe it or not. It's kind of funny, moving to 3D sprites, you would think it would make the Pokemon breathe more life into them, but in some situations, the sprites actually do better than the models. I said 3D sprites, but I meant models. The sprites actually sometimes do better than the models in terms of character and giving character to these Pokemon. I think back to like Gen 4 Hippowdon, Pokemon like that I just feel like look so much more epic when they were almost like standstill or animated as a sprite as opposed to models. Sometimes the models can make Pokemon look lifeless, like Empoleon is a great example of that. But nonetheless, there was a lot of drama about whether or not some of these official artworks were traced. And that's really the interesting part here. So Nero said the fact that most of these new artworks are 3D traced, it's very sad. Official Pokemon artwork was full of personality, and it's what best represented the creatures. Now they look cheap and soulless. And the references were to Spidops, which looks like it was traced, although the web is different, I will say. Baxcalibur is one that I think a lot of people have kind of looked at. Tauros is another one, kind of taking it from its model. Low Kicks is another one. Soul Silver chimes in, says there's an imposter among us at Game Freak. There's either a new artist or someone trying a new style. Smudge look, lines are thick, proportions are weird, shading is different. Not good or bad, art is subjective, but there's a certain quality that isn't there in a few. Kilowattrel, I think, is kind of the big one. When you look at Kilowattrel, it is clear that it's likely that it was a different artist altogether. And that's kind of the thought, right? Some of these arts don't have kind of that same life. Joe Merrick chimes in, the owner of Cerebi.net, saying this whole notion that has been going around of official artwork just tracing models and or sprites is some of the most absurd rage baiting I've seen in a while in the Pokemon community. We're better than this. Stop listening to people who just want social clout. And then Barbie from the Elite Four, one of the artists on the Illustrals project, says, in my opinion, tracing from in-game models is not necessarily a bad thing while making promotional art. As long as the model is in an interesting pose, why not? It helps with the correct proportions and perspective. Also, they've always made artwork similar to models / sprites, and people had used examples from previous games and so on and so forth. So I pass the baton to you guys. What do you guys think about this? Personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal, right? Like, I feel like there's so many things to be upset about in the world, and that is not the thing, in my opinion. That's a whole lot of energy, a whole lot of effort for something that is all in all relatively insignificant. I know some people get really passionate about this, but I don't think it's a big deal. I do like a lot of the new designs. A lot of them have grown on me, despite not really liking them at first. I think the overall dex is pretty much a win, so I don't have too much to say other than that. I just thought it was worth mentioning. A lot of drama over the weekend over this. And now, lastly, we've got this post here. This is a 4chan post. I'm gonna say, take this with a grain of salt, right? People have said it's fake. People have said it might be real. A lot of things coming out of this. So we're gonna just kind of cover this because, again, it was spreading like wildfire. I do think it's worth mentioning. They talk about the DLC, saying, and this came from a few days ago, the DLC is called Magenta Mirage. There's only one DLC this time, and it's bigger than both of Sword and Shields, the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. I could believe there being only one DLC this time, which would make sense as to why they didn't announce it yet. It says it comes out in November this year, and it's also the code name for the third legendary. So they're saying that the code name of the third legendary is Magenta Mirage, which is kind of like a Paradox name, right? That's kind of what it looks like. It lives in a second crater, which is what the top right area of the map is, which is in the very, very northeastern part of Paldea. There's like, you know, thought to be DLC there. That's where they're saying this is. It's separated by two tribes, one with an ancient-looking tribe, and the other is a futuristic tribe. It's covered in Tera crystals with some Pokemon, and people having been stuck in them for hundreds of years. Being stuck in the crystals, the tribes live in fear as they can't escape the crater. Magenta Mirage has an ability to counter both Koraidon and Miraidon's abilities. It summons Psychic Terrain and Rain. So, obviously, you have one ability that sets up the sun, the other sets up Electric Terrain. Now you have this Pokemon, apparently, that does both. It sets up Psychic Terrain and Rain. Its real name is Mimeu, and it's a water and dragon type. If this is real, this is gonna be bonkers, dude. It realizes people's ambitions and materializes them to keep people believing it. It uses the energy of belief to stay alive, constantly feeding people's dreams, eventually driving them mad. Heath was a science fiction fanatic and came in contact with it, eventually creating the Paradox Pokemon we see now. Inspired Sada and Turo to build the time machine, which was powered by the Tera crystals. The Paradox Pokemon did come from the past and future, but one that was changed by Heath's desire to see Pokemon from another time. Tera crystal shards, whatever you want to call them, are parts of Mimeu that materialize with every ambition that comes true. The plot is to stop a mind-controlled Heath who uses Mimeu before it consumes the region in Tera crystals. So some pretty interesting stuff there in terms of like lore and what it could be. Again, not a whole lot of substance to really understand if that's real. This idea that there's this new crater with an ancient and a future tribe, and they're using this third legendary, which basically counters the other two legendaries. Very interesting stuff. Now, the cool stuff here, in my opinion, are the potential features in Pokemon. And again, take this with a grain of salt. Paradox Pokemon. Paradox Suicune, Storming Waters, Water, and Ghost, which we know Suicune and Virizion are getting new Paradox forms. Paradox Virizion, Iron Blade, Grass, and Psychic. Paradox Delphox, Wicked Mage, which is Fire and Fairy, which is very cool. Paradox Chestnut would be Iron Shelter, which is Grass and Steel, kind of like a Ferrothorn. Paradox Greninja would be Rogue Warrior, Fighting in Dark. And then another Paradox Greninja, Iron Ninja, Water and Poison. So cool stuff there overall. Could be hinting or teasing at that with the new Tera raid. Paradox Kilowattrel, Thunderstorm, Electric and Water, which is very cool if it sets up rain. And Paradox Glamora, Iron, Flower, Poison, and Steel. And then Mimeu, which was explained. And then they're saying there's some evolutions. Reflechime, which is Chimecho's evolution, Psyche and Steel. And Tarempera, which is a Galvantula evolution, Bug and Electric. It says there's more customizing options. The laboratory allows you to change EVs, Tera type, and level of your Pokemon. This is something that was hinted by the Riddler, saying that we would be able to do like PK Hex, Pokemon edit kind of stuff. They're saying dual type Tera Shards. Only some Pokemon can use them. Starters, legendaries, Gen 9 Pokemon. These crystals have set types. You can't choose what you want. This idea that you could potentially have dual type Teras would actually be bonkers. Like, imagine if you had a Pokemon, like let's take Greninja for example, right? Water and Dark. And you Tera into Water Dark. You essentially are getting double stab on both Water and Dark. Like, that could be absolutely ridiculous if that's a real thing. Just like Sword and Shield DLC, you battle legendaries and Tera raids. These legendaries are found in a cavern covered in Tera crystals. Interact with the crystals will start a raid with one of the legendaries at random. It sounds a little wild, but it's not like so wild that it's unbelievable. So I just wanted to put it on your radar. Again, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's probably fake, right? Like, chances are at this point this is just a fake 4chan post, but some cool stuff there nonetheless. And that's pretty much that. I got you guys all caught up on the news, the drama, and what's latest in the leak rumor community. Be sure to check out TeamShiny.com, pick up some sweet merch, and you can check out this video right here if you enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys next time.